Hello! It is a landslide update day. Look at how much more green! Oh, this is such a relief. So I'm standing here mentally identifying plants and trying to determine how well we've done on the natives to non-natives ratio, and this is looking excellent. The stabilization of the hillside is very well underway. I'm excited to see this. And I also brought over some somewhat rank-smelling black willows, and I want to see what succeeded with what I did and what did not succeed. So, I noticed that the willows I planted back in there, a lot of them don't seem to have made it. But I'm standing right in front of one right here. My Salix discolor. And I recognize those sticks from my cliff. So let's look out here and see. I see a ton of henbane daisy. Those are the white flowers that you're seeing. I see, I'm going to set these willows down actually. Whew. I see a scraggly oak. I see, forget what that's called, horse something or another. And this is sow thistle. It's not native, but it's edible and it's everywhere, so it's really unavoidable. This is exciting because that right there, that's a locust tree, which is a nitrogen fixer. I'm seeing a ton of little bits of pokeweed, which are this rather sizable plant up here, which you can see by its placement at a precipice. It stopped this landslide from continuing just with its root system alone. I'm also seeing a ton of something I put seeds out for, which is just so pleasing. And it's going to be really pretty too. This is Virginia creeper, 5 leaves. It's toxic to eat, but it's a native of grape. So don't let its grape familial status trick you. I do see a couple of invasive, what are those called? Honeysuckle bushes down there, but right in between them, actually the steeper part has got quite a few of those, but right in between them I'm seeing what appears to be possibly a walnut, although to be fair, it could also be a tree of heaven. From a distance, the difference between tree of heaven, walnut, and native sumac are all pretty difficult to tell. So the henbane daisy's doing great. I'm seeing a bunch of elm. We have 2 types here, rock elm and slippery elm, that are both native, and these are a couple of those right here. They reseed very readily, so it's good to see. It's very good to see. Looking around. This, I'm pretty sure from looking at it earlier, is a Celtis tree, which is called hackberry or sugarberry. Sugarberry is a little more descriptive. They do taste good. So I am hoping to see a bunch of those down here eventually as well, because they also reseed decently well in a sunny position. I'm also seeing that this thornless Floribunda bramble, which smells pretty good too, and I may eventually take cuttings of and see if I can get going, but I want to check its native or invasive status first. It's doing great down here. Everywhere that a tip of a branch touches down, it's restarting. So there's new ones down here. And up in this area, right here, I can see what I believe to be raspberries, but they may just be regular brambles. More oak over there. And a bunch of grass coming down through here. Oh dear, I do see one knotweed. And you know, that one's bad enough that I may traipse on out there and pull it. Knotweed is a sun lover that is adapted in the Asiatic continent to be the first plant to break through lava flows and start to turn them into soil. As such, it has a minimum of 12-foot roots, but it also chokes out everything else, and that's not what we want here. We want forest. Basically, we want a very steep hill prairie to be starting to form here. So I may get real stubborn on that. Yeah, this is looking really, really good. I'm pleased. There's gonna be invasives, because there's only so much you can do. But being picky about which invasive sounds kind of nice to me. I feel like this might... That's a tree that I haven't seen nuts under, and it has the leaflets. It's also very tall. The bark is interesting. I'm talking about this one right here. I can tell by the seeds on this tree right here that is a tree of heaven, which is a bad thing. But if you look at the trunk, it's dark and not as deeply grooved. So that might just be a walnut that's still too young to put fruit, because that's kind of too tall to be a sumac. But it's good to have natives and non-natives competing with each other, for sure. At least to have the natives able to compete. The trash quantity has reduced quite a bit, and it'll start to be less obvious too as the greenery starts to cover it. So these get about 30 to 60 foot tall, and if I'm going that way anyway, I'm going to get some of them out there. This soil looks like it's getting really nice and stable. So I will report back afterwards, I promise. That way you'll know I came back safe and everything. Promise you I'll be careful. And I really hope you're having a wonderful day. Take care of your hillsides, people. You don't want this happening. A lot of this was because a tree was really tall compared to the rest. It caught a gust of wind and its entire root system was so big it sent everything down there. And part of this is because some renters that are no longer there were throwing trash. Instead of taking it to the curb, they were just chucking it off their deck. So, and a lot of this old construction waste from the 80s is still a contributing factor. It's a tough thing to deal with, because this is, sorry for the motorcycle down there, this is a pre-existing condition here that is a lot to deal with. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. I'll check in with you soon.